LaxFactor podcast. What is up, college lacrosse fans? You are watching another episode of the LaxFactor podcast, and today we are going to announce the LaxFactor Midfielder of the Year for Division 1. And I had a tough time with this. There was two guys that I was considering heavily, and I considered them heavily because of their offensive production, because of their effectiveness between the boxes as kind of old school midfielders. And those two guys, it was Brian Costabile and Dax Aitken. And I was laboring back and forth, which one do I go with? And I'm telling you, I was leaning into Costabile. Is who I was leaning into. But in order to make sure that I was giving everyone a fair shot, I decided I had to at least look into Ryan Conrad's statistics and put them up against Dax and Costabile's. And what I found was surprising. I found that from a scoring perspective, Costabile 48 points, Aitken 46 points, and Ryan Conrad comes in at 28 goals, 18 assists, 46 points. So he's right with those guys in terms of points production. And as you watch him play, you notice he can dodge from behind the cage. He'll invert. He'll go on poles. He's really good at dodging kind of from the high wing, getting underneath his man in the GLE area and kind of sneaking back on the high side and getting shots off. I mean, the guy can score, and he can score from out top. So when you compare him to them from a points production standpoint, he's right in line. He sniped shots from out top in man up. Also, he had 4 man up goals, and Costabile and Aitken, I think, were at 8 and 7 respectively in terms of their man up goal production. So he's at 4, not as deadly as either of them, but still formidable in his own right with 4. And more importantly, he scored a man down goal also in the season. Neither of them had done that. Just like both of those midfielders, he's really tough. He plays between the boxes, but Conrad takes faceoffs. So where Costabile and Aitken, they put up ground ball numbers in the area of the mid 20s, high 20s maybe. Conrad is sitting at 83 ground balls on the season. That's next level. So in terms of his production between the boxes, his hustle ground balls that he gets wherever he might be on the field, 83 ground balls is a lot more ground balls. And I think that's important when you're putting up similar point totals, 46 points in the season to their 48 and 46 respectively, Costabile and Aitken. But then you're also picking up 83 ground balls with games to still play. That alone, I think, puts you in that category. The fact that he takes face-offs, that he regularly creates transition in bad matchups off face-off play before teams can get back. He's kind of part of that whole helter-skelter offensive scheme where we're going to get our first dodge before you're fully settled on defense. He's a big part of that, and he's a big part of Virginia being able to find bad matchups because you can guard Conrad not Conrad. You can guard Kraus and let's say Moore on attack, and you've got somebody guarding off ball, Ian Laviano as their off ball attackman. And then you can put a pole on Aitken as well, and whoever else you have to deal with, but you can't poll everybody. And Conrad ends up being that guy that draws that odd matchup and that more often than not capitalizes on it. And also too, Aitken and Costabile tend to be a little bit, not even a little bit, but a lot more goal heavy. And as we look at Conrad's stats, 28 goals, 18 assists. So 18 assists he's creating for others too. A lot of that does come in transition, but hey, that's part of being a midfielder, running and gunning in transition. He turned the ball over 24 times. That's a lot, but that's in line with Costabile and Aitken's turnover numbers also. So I think they were both in the low 20 area. I want to say he was the highest out of the 3 of them, but it's close is my point. The difference being he caused 8 turnovers. Neither of them forced that many turnovers. I think they were in the 3 or 4 range, each of them. So that plays. And that kind of ties back into the between the boxes. They're good between the boxes. They're both good midfielders in terms of production in that arena, but he's next level there. 61% of his shots are on cage, which is considerable for a guy that isn't traditionally considered a top-notch offensive midfielder. 36% of those shots go in the cage. Over the course of his career, he's been excellent. He had the injury setback last year, but he came back this year and he has played strong. And then even on the biggest stage this year, as we look back at just this last weekend's game, he outscored pretty much everybody in Virginia's game. He had 4 goals and 1 assist in the game this weekend. Aitken had 2 goals, and Costabile in his game had 2 goals, 2 assists. So, I mean, even at the biggest stage playing in the quarterfinal rounds, he's outscoring the other 2 guys I was considering. So I think you know where I'm going with this. I am naming Ryan Conrad my LaxFactor midfielder of the year because he can do everything. His statistics are next level. He's a senior leader that got his team, helped, get his team to the Final Four. So congrats to Ryan Conrad and the Virginia Cavaliers on their trip to Memorial Day weekend, and I wish them all the best of luck.